Hello, my name is Kelly Edens, and this is my interpersonal communication project, Bridging My Communication Gap. On my introduction slide, communication is a continuous, complex, collaborative, verbal, and nonverbal process of meaning making. The 6 features of communication are the meaning, which is the cause and effect, how you get your ideas across; choice, which all communication involves choices. Some people actively consider their choices, some are just automatic. Culture, which are shared norms, values, and beliefs, and that's how we communicate as well. Our identities are our ways of being ourselves in our communication. The conversation is the most influential communication event. Those are our conversations. They're the most significant. Then there's nexting, which is the most important single communication skill, responding to what just happened, taking that additional step. In the next slide, we have the OAG, which is the overachieving goal, and how we enlarge the conversation using the OAG. In the 21st century, with our indiscriminate range of technology, we have the ability to choose what and how we listen, or if we listen at all. My OAG is to use the listening skills that I've learned in this course to not only be a better listener, but a better communicator. I will enlarge the conversation by using effective listening skills in my professional life as a bereavement coordinator and grief counselor, my personal life as a wife, mother, and grandmother, my spiritual life as a follower of Christ. My next slide is how to be an effective, empathetic listener. I need to be attentive, which is to create an atmosphere of positivity, and I do this through nonverbal behavior, being alert and attentive to what makes the other person feel important. I need to be in tune with others' needs, be interested, listening to what the other person's saying with understanding. I need to listen for the okay attitude, to be a soundboard and act like a mirror, reflect back to them what they're saying. I need to not get hooked, not get angry or hurt, and not pass judgments. I need to use encouragement and expressions, saying, I see, and right. I need to set ground rules for the conversation from the very beginning, before the conversation begins. Active listening can help remain objective and be empathetic to the other person's point of view. On my next slide, I have the Uniquely You and the Queendom profiles. In the Uniquely You profile, I was considered an IS, which is I as active, people-oriented. Passive and people-oriented is the S. And then under Queendom, I had the profile of being insightful, extremely adept at interpreting other people's words and actions. And I'm going to do my best using these profiles to improve my listening skills and my communication skills. On my next slide are the positive and negative behaviors in the behavioral blends. My positive behavioral blend characteristics are being empathetic in my approach to people, being a people person, being motivational and encouraging, being relational, and being a social butterfly. I'll use these qualities to form better relationships and improve my listening skills. My negative behavioral blend characteristics were being non-confrontational, stubborn when stability is threatened, that I may overlook important details, a lack of organizational skills. I need to be more cautious. I'll guard my social skills a little more and not rely on them as much so I can improve my organizational skills. My next slide is how my behavioral blend will assist me in my approach to my clients who are grieving, in how I present the bereavement and grief process to my clients, in how I have learned to listen more than I talk, and how I strive to understand what my clients are feeling, and how I pray for them both as a group and individually, in showing Christ's love, in demonstrating compassion, and in doing my job. My next slide is the potential barriers, what I can do to enlarge the conversation. Understanding and listening and speaking or responding from a perspective that's larger than my own. Conversation must be enlarged to encompass the other's vision and understanding. I need to broaden perceptions to include other perceptions that are not my own. Potential for discord between personalities or a personality conflict as individuals attempt to understand the differing worldviews. Social media that can promote or destroy interpersonal contact, depending on how they're used. And then there's dialogue that can help turn enemies into friends. My next slide is noise pollution and the solutions. If our motivation for listening is to get others to see things our way, we probably talk a lot more than we listen. Problem people with excessive control needs can hurt other people. And then there's those flat brainers that are those who cannot hear what others are saying because of their own agendas. Solution, listen without agreeing. If we agree when someone's talking, then we're talking and not listening. Listening without disagreeing. Like agreeing, disagreeing is talking instead of listening. Disagreeing is quicker and argumentative. Listen without advising. We all have the need to help, and which often leads to giving advice. And that should be avoided until the talkers finish talking. And then there's listening without attacking or defending. When we remove defending from our listening, we open up safe surroundings. My next slide is about the action plan. I need to ground identity and become aware of any identity issues. Incorporate self-disclosure. Focus on present, not the past. Express myself. Be aware of self-sabotage. Help others understand. Avoid deception, betrayal, and aggression. Be aware of hurtful messages and defensive communication. Realize the potential of conflict and interaction. Clarify miscommunication. Become aware of cultural communication with people of different backgrounds, race, gender, and even disabilities. Continuing on the next slide, become aware of the 3 listening levels: empathetic listening, hearing words but not listening, listening in spurts. Avoid hearing only what you want to hear and bias listening. Make listening work. Develop the attributes of an effective listener. Use the methods to improve listening. Put all that's been learned together. In conclusion, this class has taught me many things about myself, as well as skills to be a better listener and communicator. All 3 textbooks emphasize the advantages of being an effective listener. And even in the movie Fireproof, it was obvious that the couple's communication had broken down and was in need of desperate overhaul. Once the real conversation began in the movie, they both realized they had forgotten how to communicate with one another. I've taken away from this class the thought that communication is essential in every aspect of life. And according to an article in the Journal of Marketing Research, marketers are even continually looking for new ways to improve personal communication. Even in God's Word, communication is spoken about in this way. James 1:19 says, "Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath." Also in 2 Corinthians 6:11, "O ye Corinthians, our mouth is open unto you, our heart is enlarged." Thank you for your time, and thank you for allowing me to learn more about being an effective communicator and effective listener.